What's up, everybody? Josh and Jay back with the America is Blue podcast. Glad to be with you. Maybe not so glad to be looking at a future death sentence coming up for the next two games, but we're going to get into it nonetheless. Jay, we've got a Premier League clash tomorrow that you might be familiar with. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States of America, a little team called Manchester City, the Sky Blues, the Citizens, will be traveling south to London town to face the men from the West End. Stamford Bridge tomorrow, Jay. Manchester City's sitting second place on 36 points in the Premier League. We're in 10th with not a lot of points. And that's basically where we stand right now. As per usual, you get the first word around here. What are you thinking about tomorrow, pal?
Will we even put up a fight? Like, what are we going to see out of these guys? I have zero expectations that we're going to pull out a result here. But will we put up a fight, and will we try to turn this into a competitive game? I have to imagine, with all the narratives, with players who may want to have a foot out the door during the January transfer window, I can't imagine that the mood in the dressing room is chipper.
Sure.
So I want to see if these guys can, if we can rally the troops and try to at least put up some kind of a fight against a far better team. City's coming off of a draw against Everton. They're going to be motivated. They gave up points to Arsenal. Arsenal drew against Newcastle the other day, so now they have the opportunity to whoop us and regain those points. They're the defending champions. They have a tough battle ahead of them with the way that Arsenal is playing, and this is one of those things for them also where they can't afford to give up any points. But I feel like they have the gumption and the spine to actually do something about it, as opposed to what we did last week against Nottingham Forest,
which apparently is lesser competition. I'm not sure if everybody follows the Premier League out there, but they did manage to squeak one past Southampton today and did pull out a W there. So that made me want to, I guess, maybe kill myself a little bit less. Nonetheless, not looking forward to what's going to be happening. But if I may ask, what's one particular thing that you're looking for in the game tomorrow?
I want to know if Graham Potter is going to keep on running out the same guys and expect a different result, definition of insanity, or if he's finally going to rely upon some of the youth on the bench. And this may not be the best game to do it going up against City, but I don't see us having another choice and expecting a different outcome. So one thing I'm looking for is he going to stay with the old guard, or is he going to start to integrate some of the young guys who are sitting on the bench who are hungry, who do want to make names for themselves, and could potentially inject some energy into this club?
Fair enough, man. I'm looking for us to just make sure that we don't get into overwhelming moments, because what happens to us too is I don't want one goal to turn into three in the blink of an eye. And that's what can happen, because when City starts to turn the screw, and if we can't get out of our own half, and it's just a bunch of possession, City kicking the ball around and bossing the game from the jump, it's going to be a long afternoon of ball watching, and that's not what I'm interested in at all. And we just can't get overwhelmed, because in recent history against them, we get overwhelmed quickly, and then they just put us to bed very quickly and easily. That being said, we did beat them 1-0 in the most important game of all a couple years ago, and they've never hoisted the European Championship. That's something we got two of. They got some ground to make up from that perspective.
I think you basically just called the game. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think they're going to find a way to get one in, and then from there the floodgates open, and we'll get to our predictions later. But I think you basically hit it on the head. That's probably exactly what's going to happen.
I mean, I am a really, really smart guy.
You are.
But yeah, and just tell my wife that. So let's get into what we're thinking on some of the lineups. Now I'm very intrigued because of what you just said. Are you expecting a little bit of tinkering, or are you really thinking that we're going to stick to the guns and have a little bit more cohesiveness in the lineup?
I was flipping again between every time I put one of these things down on paper, it's like, what do I want to see happen versus what I think Harry Potter's going to throw out there. I think we're going to make some changes. I think we have to make certain changes. And then obviously I sprinkled in a couple of things that I want to say.
All right.
But I think we're staying with the same formation. I think we're going to run out of 4-3-3.
I definitely agree with you on that. I think we both definitely have Kepa Arrizabalaga in net. Tell me what your back four is, pal. Throw it over to you first.
So I have Cucurella, I have Thiago Silva, I have Koulibaly. I can't put Dave out there. I can't put Dave out there. And we don't have another right back. So what the hell do you do? We do have Trevor Chalobah, who has some experience playing in defensive midfield. He plays in the back line. I've never seen him play right back, but we don't need to have a right back who's going to be pressing forward in this game. We need to make sure if there is a chance of us getting a result and maybe squeaking something out, we have to be defensively stout. Chalobah, Koulibaly, and Silva have played next to each other, albeit in a different formation. Okay. So I think we throw him out there and see what he can do.
Couldn't agree with you more. I actually have the exact same back four. We can't put Dave out there in this match. And I was thinking the same thing. I was like, our options are limited. You're not going to switch Cucurella for a Lewis Hall if there was an inverse problem. Which unfortunately we lost Reece James. I'd rather be without Cook and looking for replacements on the left rather than the inverse. That being said, Trevor Chalobah is the only competent replacement we have. He's got size and speed and youth over Dave right now, but what he lacks in experience, I think he more than makes up for in physical pace and presence, at least for the things that are going to be needed in this game. So I'm 100% with you. Same back four: Chalobah, Silva, Koulibaly, and Cucurella.
Great minds. Midfield, I have Mason Mount, I have Dennis Zakaria, and I have Lewis Hall.
Really?
And I'm not sure if Kovacic, and it's not a knock on him, it has nothing to do with his performance last week, inching back in from the World Cup. Obviously, we gave him a few minutes. He's probably fit enough to do it. But I think we need to inject a little bit of life, and I was trying to find the spots where I wanted to do it. I don't want to see Mount or Kovacic play in the middle. I think Zakaria adds a little bit of physicality and defensive presence. And honestly, in the first half, he was one of our better players against Nottingham Forest. He at least showed a little bit of something out there.
He's got nice ball skills. I want to talk about Zakaria for a minute. Like he did have some nice ball skills, and he does. He has at least some of the physical presence, and I don't think we're not going to be able to outquick these guys. We're not going to be able to outmaneuver them. We're not going to be able to out intricate play them. We need to have some bodies out there, and I think this is one of our situations with a Chalobah and a Zakaria. At least we got a chance to maybe muck it up a little bit, maybe make it a little bit of a brawl, and that's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to get these guys off balance. It's going to be like fighting Tyson Fury kind of thing. He's just a weird, slippery, awkward, strange fighter.
Yeah, and I feel like Zakaria, I feel fairly confident in him defensively. I feel confident with him winning balls back and going on runs. The element of his game that is not there is once he goes on a run and he's moving, he doesn't know what the hell to do. He gets to a point on the field. Yeah, he gets to a point on the field where he's out of his depth and he doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't hit the right pass, or he doesn't keep going when there's even more space for him to keep running at somebody. That's fine though. I don't think we need that from this. Lewis Hall, on the other hand, is somebody who can do those things. So I think if Zakaria can provide cover, I think you can use Mount and you can use Hall and you can provide a little bit of a ballast on both sides to add a little bit of an attacking element with the front three.
Well, I do agree with two. I do have Zakaria and Mount. I just put Kovacic in the engine room. We need that guy desperately. We've got to play through him. If we're going to have any chance of surviving in the midfield, he's going to have to carry the ball forward. We've said this numerous times about Kova. People sleep on this dude's dribbling, and I still don't know how it's possible, but he doesn't get enough credit for the job that he does in that role. I think he is going to be huge. It's not just going to be one-touch football isn't going to get us done, through their midfield. We've really got to have somebody that's going to be able to make a guy miss and carry the ball forward. We desperately need Mateo Kovacic in that role. I think Zakaria will fall back a little bit more, and then Mace is going to have his kind of newly preferred number 10 type role where he's hopefully going to have an opportunity to roam free. And then if we can catch him out on the counter, we need to score another Kai Havertz Champions League type goal where it's going to be Mace feeding from deep and trying to create something forward, getting past the defense.
Yeah. All right, up top, I have a couple of changes here, or a change here. I want Hakeem Ziyech in the game because we don't have anybody who can create anything. We just don't. We don't have anybody who can play a great ball into the box, create danger, do something on set pieces, do something on corners. He's the only guy we got. And I thought he looked good against Nottingham Forest. I can't imagine why you wouldn't put him out there after the run that he had in the World Cup and the fact that we just don't have anybody else in that role who's going to be able to create the danger and put City in some precarious positions. I have Kai Havertz up top because there's no way in hell I'm running Alba out there. And, listen, Kai on his day, if he decides to show up, he can get things done. It's just a matter of whether he's running hot or cold on a given day. And on the other side, I have Raheem Sterling going up against his old mates.
100%. Raheem's definitely playing. He's going to definitely want to rise to the occasion to prove his worth to his old mates. Totally agree with you there. I hate when this happens. We actually have the same lineup again because it's the same reasons. I mean, and it's not as though you and I are going through these great deliberations. Oftentimes, recently, the story has written itself. I would really like to have Pooley in the game. I just think that they're going to switch sides. You got to put Raheem Sterling on the pitch, and you need Ziyech to have that creative presence. And I agree with you. I was going back and forth with Kai and Alba, and I'd be crazy to put Aubameyang, in there to start the game. I'd much rather have Kai at his worst than Alba at his, I guess, at this stage in their careers, because at least Kai provides some of that physical presence and some of that pressing up top. So I'm going to go with the same top three.
Yeah, and listen, I think Pulisic could be a sub at some point for Sterling or for Ziyech. I guess he could play on either side, but like Raheem Sterling, when he was doing his best at City, he was playing at the left wing. And when we decided to put him out there with Pulisic, we put Pulisic at the left wing, and then we forced Raheem Sterling to go on to an unnatural side. So I think we, again, get people in their natural positions, let them go out there, let there be less stuff going on between their ears, and see if they can pull one out of the bag.
100%, man. All right, so let's get into the predictions. I'll go first this week. I'll flip it around. You go first all the time around here. I'm sick of it. So I'll just get right out and say it. It's going to be 3-1 City, and it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be one of those ones where it should have been 6-0. I think it'll probably be 3-0 before we score. I think we'll have some sort of a concession, maybe a late penalty or a fine piece of play by a youngster. And look, nobody bleeds blue more than me. I just don't think we have a snowball's chance in hell, and I hate feeling this way because there wasn't a time too long ago where we always seemed to rise up and kick the shit out of City, quite frankly. Even when they were at their devastating best, we often found ways and times to beat them. And I just don't think that recipe is going to be in the cookbook this weekend.
I think we're so far removed from that. I have no faith. I really don't. And it's not about the individual guys. It's not like I've given up on a lot of the players who were on the same team that won us the Champions League. I have very little faith in our manager, how he's going to set us up, how he's going to motivate, how he's going to make in-game changes that are going to actually have an influence on the game. And we're going up against arguably the best coach in world football, a guy who's a tactical genius, a guy who's had a run of form with City over the last however many years. I mean,
5 or 6, right?
They're amazing. They're amazing, and they're well drilled, and they know how to play together. I just don't see how we pull anything out. So I'm going 3-0. I don't even see us scoring.
Fair enough, man. I guess I'm the guy with the optimistic attitude going in. With,
very optimistic. 3-1 drubbing at home. Mr. That's optimism these
Mr.
days.
Smiles, right over here. Harry Smiles. So, all right, man. Unfortunately, we're going to have to sit through this thing tomorrow. I hope, tomorrow night's show is one of celebration and us looking at each other like, man, can you believe that just happened? So we'll have to keep some of these takes on ice for tomorrow. But until then, enjoy watching the game tomorrow, brother. I look forward to breaking it down with you tomorrow evening, and all the best to all you Blues fans out there. America is blue, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.